Well, here we go again. Battlefield 6 trailer has just dropped, and I'm going to say the most controversial thing out of the gate, which is I thought the trailer for it was quite mid. I'm sorry, it didn't hype me the way that Battlefield 1 or 2042 did. It just didn't. I don't know if that's because it was just a mid trailer end of story, or it was my fight or flight kicking in trying to protect my wallet because I have learned from my past experiences with Battlefield 5 and Battlefield 2042. Again, how many helicopters or plane crashes do we need in one trailer? I understand it's Battlefield, but come on, show me something a bit different. And the music choice wasn't the best, in my honest opinion, for the Battlefield 6 trailer. But if you couldn't tell with this video so far, that this is a whole do not pre-order Battlefield 6, learn from your previous mistakes, do not buy on release and let every other idiot make the mistakes, YouTubers or live streamers as well. Watch their content, watch their streams, wait at least a month after release, and if the game looks good, then please by all means buy the game, but please stop pre-ordering really dodgy games because we've got to learn a lesson from it. So I wanted to break this video into three parts. One, the first one being the absolute disastrous release or life of Battlefield 5 and 2042. The second part being the spin-offs from both games, which will be Battlefield 5's Firestorm, aka Battlefield Battle Royale. And with Battlefield 2042, it had two spin-offs, which were Battlefield's Portal and Battlefield's Exodus, which was like Battlefield's take on Escape from Tarkov, which, oh boy, that died even before the trailer released, arguably. And the third part that I would like to talk about is my own personal hell that I had to go through to get a refund for Battlefield 42. Long story short, essentially, it took me 7 months to get a refund, and once I got my refund, they banned my Origin account with £300 worth of games, add-ons and DLC. But anyway, as always, if you agree or disagree with anything that I've said throughout this video, or you think I've missed anything of key importance, let me know down in the comments and I will respond as soon as possible. But let's start off with the first one. The absolute disastrous launches of Battlefield 5 in 2042 and the life cycle of it. Battlefield 5, this was arguably probably the second worst Battlefield release of all time. Again, the trailer was just a confusing mess of horribly meshed and blended campaign, multiplayer and cinematic all in once with no background music. It just was just a weird trailer as a whole. Of course, the game released and it was a disaster right out the gate. The first thing that people were complaining about was it being absolutely beyond riddled with hackers, which we haven't really seen in Battlefield before. From what my memory serves me, usually after a Battlefield game's been out for a couple of years, it gets infested with hackers. Again, go play Battlefield 1 or 5 on PC, you'll know what I'm on about. Full auto, double barrel shotgun across the map, 500 kills, 0 deaths. But anyway, the hackers out of the gate with Battlefield 5 was very, very noticeable. And I actually didn't buy the game straight away because I was so beyond broke back then. I couldn't afford, £50-60 for a game. However, because the fan base had, or the player base had crashed and kamikazed so hard, I think about January or February, which was about 3-ish months after the release, the price just plummeted itself, and my mate, for the price of £18, I think it was, bought me a copy of Battlefield 5, and he bought himself a copy at the same time. We downloaded the game at the same time, and the first game that we both had, enemy hacker with a bolt action sniper rifle going 128 and 0. And on top of that with 5 as well, beyond broken, nothing worked, beyond overcomplicated, trying to modify your weapons, your loadout, your systems, trying to navigate anything to do with the UI, compared to Battlefield 4's and 1's simplicity was just, I don't know how you mess up the wheel. They've invented the wheel, keep using the wheel, but they went up and tried to reinvent the wheel and it backfired on them in that regards as well. It was a complete and absolute disaster trying to navigate everything, and it was just an overly complicated progressive system to unlock new perks, new characters, new weapon attachments, new guns themselves, new grenades, anti-tanks, everything. It was beyond overcomplicated as well. At the time, my PC was decent for that time period. It was a pretty decent PC. It was like a 1060 Asus Turbo i5 Skylake, 16 gigs or 2133 RAM, so on and so forth. Wasn't overkill, but it wasn't a completely worthless PC. It should have ran Battlefield 5 at medium settings pretty easily. It didn't. It could not run Battlefield. It just the constant stutters like me just there, and just the constant downgrade of graphics and crashing and literally one frame per sometimes, as I like to call it, as well. It was just unplayable, and there was even players who had the most Chad of Chad PCs at the time that were still getting this issues. So I don't think it was solely my PC, it was just Battlefield 5 as a whole. Now, with all the backlash that happened with that game at the time, and by the way, this is going to happen again with 2042, but a member of the DICE team responded over on Twitter, or now known as X, did the most genius 5-head move that I've ever seen within my life, and this works always. I have never ever seen this not work. It is flawless logic, and he blamed the fan base, the community, the customers for the disaster of Battlefield 5, because the two major complaints were basically it was unplayable, it's not what was advertised, you lied to us, we did, oh yeah, also they put Fortnite building into a really gory graphic World War II cinematic game. They put Fortnite building elements or mechanics into... Anyway, they also did that as well. They were also complaining the fact that they were trying to make this game as accurate to the real wars that happened within World War II itself. It wasn't, it was completely beyond inaccurate. The game was unplayable, riddled with hackers. He responded saying, yeah, it's your fault. You also don't know history. If you don't like the game, don't play it. And if you've already bought the game, then stop playing it. Which, again, that went down so well with the player base. And again, the game just died. Again, go on Battlefield 5 on PC right now. Hackers. Just at every team, there's 5 or 10 hackers on each team. It's unavoidable. Hence why I don't play Battlefield 1 or 5. I don't know the current state of 2042, so I've not played that since literally the first hour of its launch. But anyway, speaking of Battlefield 2042, let's move over to that. I was an absolute beyond fucking idiot. There's no other way of putting it, and I only blame myself for at least this part of it. I saw the trailer, I got absolutely beyond hype because I'm a massive Battlefield fan, and I pre-ordered the deluxe edition, which still to this day I beat myself up. I'm an idiot, don't tell me in the comment section. I'm an idiot sandwich, right? I understand, I shouldn't have done it. I've learnt my lesson, hence why I'm making this video. I pre-ordered it, I played the early access to the beta because I pre-ordered the Uber Duper Mega Deluxe Edition, and the open beta being only, I think that released about less than 2 months from the full game releasing, and I remember playing that and going, oh no, history's repeating itself. It was bad. Helicopters were teleporting about, crashing into buildings, couldn't get on. Inviting your friends was impossible because it was the most convoluted invite system on the planet. The weapon system and trying to upgrade your weapons, your characters, and so on and so forth was beyond convoluted as well. Again, as per usual, things were absolutely beyond broken in every way, shape, or form. Whether it be the maps, the servers, the vehicles, the guns, or the ammunition, or whatever it may have been, everything was either broken or, in terms of being overpowered, or literally not connected. The hit registration was just not there. And somehow, by some miracle, when the full game released, it was in a worse state than the open beta. Again, I don't understand how that's possible, but if any of you played the open or even closed beta and compare it to the full launch of 2042, the launch was worse than the open beta by some miracle. And again, after playing it for less than an hour, I went, cool, I'm done with this, because after playing it was a broken mess. They'd lied to us once again. What they promised just wasn't there as well. It just didn't work. They changed the absolute core fundamentals of the game as well. And when it comes to the 64 versus 64 within that game, again, it didn't work. Battlefield with current gen consoles or with PC, it's always been 32 versus 32, which that alone felt very balanced. Again, same with Battlefield 3, 4, hardline, Battlefield 1, Battlefield 5, and I think even going further back as well. I don't know about Bad Company 2 or further back. I think they were 32 versus 32 as well. I think they all were, but that worked fine. But they wanted to go bigger and bolder with 64 versus 64. And somehow the maps felt more emptier with twice the player base size than what we're kind of more well known, kind of what we're used to, just the 32 versus 32. This was 64 versus 64. And the Battlefield 2042 maps just felt completely empty. And again, people who had the most Chad PCs, which I upgraded my... In fact, I actually built my first ever gaming PC for Battlefield 1. Don't regret it. Great game. And I got my first ever Chad PC just for Battlefield 2042 to play on PC. And I regret that, but whatever. The past is the past, I suppose. And even with me having one of the most, if not the most powerful PC on the market at the time, again, frame rate issues, crashing issues, my PC was screaming at me even on low settings as well, constantly falling through the map, falling through the elevators, hit registration not worked. I'm repeating myself over and over again. It was an absolute beyond disaster, and history repeated itself again, because I think just before or just after the Christmas period, which would have been a couple of months after the release, the person who was in charge of 2042 finally responded on Twitter again and said, "Oh, sorry, Battlefield community. I did not realize that you had such high standards for us, unachievable high standards. I'm sorry I did not live up to your expectations. Oh, I'm so sorry about that." It was just the most patronizing fuck you tweet that I've ever seen from EA as a whole. And again, it had this undertone of just as spitting on the community and basically just saying without saying, go and fuck yourself because of your high standards. We have actually released a flawless game. Go try harder. Womp womp, we've got your money. You can't get a refund. I'll get into that in the last stage of this video. And again, absolutely beyond sent the player base who were begging and screaming and threatening the devs at the time, which is not nice, but you push a man's buttons hard enough, yeah, anyway. But they were getting death threats at the time through private messages or atting on Twitter and so on and so forth. And because they were refusing refunds and just telling the community to basically go fuck themselves, which again went down amazingly with the whole thing. Again, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me for the third time for Battlefield 6. Nah, you deserve it. You go cry harder. Womp womp, you don't have your $100 anymore. You should have learnt your lesson by now. Now, going into the second part of this, which is the spin-offs with the previous two Battlefields, which only one of the three belongs to Battlefield 5, which was Firestorm, aka Battlefield's Battle Royale. Now, at the time, Battle Royales were the hottest shit in gaming history, and at that time, Fortnite was the dominating version of Battle Royale. It was, I think to this day, it's still the most successful video game of all time. Literally, I wouldn't be surprised if that's made them well over $100 billion. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if it's even closer to $1 trillion at this point. It really, that's maybe a bit of an exaggeration, but it has made a ridiculous amount of money for a free-to-play game. It is easily within the hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars at this point. Again, you had PUBG as well. Warzone was just right around the corner, which again, I'm not sure that's made them a God knows how many billions of dollars over the past 5 years that Warzone's been out. And of course, the overall theme with these battle royales were they were free to play. Download for free, go play for free. You know, nothing's really locked behind any paywalls, not the maps, not the guns, or the characters, or the grenades, or the attachments to vehicles, nothing. Just go and play the game. The only things that are locked behind a paywall are these goofy ass Gunner skins or just really ridiculous farting unicorn Seth Rogen American Dad skins in Call of Duty. But part of that, go play the games. Is EA being the absolute beyond capitalist greedy motherfuckers on the planet decided to not make Firestorm aka Battlefield Battle Royale free to play. They locked it behind the paywall, and that paywall was the purchasing of the full game of Battlefield 5, which, as a little update, Battlefield's Firestorm, or Battle Royale, did not come out at the same time as Battlefield 5. It came out several months, I think it was over half a year since the release of that game, and at that point, the gaming community for that game, or just Battlefield as a whole, had kamikazed into absolute beyond nothingness. And when that game finally released behind that ridiculous paywall of $50 or $60, it literally died in the same length of time as Concord did within 2 weeks, which is quite funny because an average housefly survives for about 30 days. So an average housefly has twice the success rate as a multi-billion-dollar company. But anyway, yeah, Firestorm died instantly, which is a shame because I remember playing it on day release as well, and it was a really good battle royale. Sure, it had some little problems here and there, but I thought it looked really good. Having the fire and close off instead of gas or just an invisible wall or just a red death wall just approaching, it was actual fire that was shrinking the size of this battle royale map. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a cool concept. Unfortunately, EA just been that beyond greedy, put it behind a paywall, and it completely screwed them over. And the game died within 2 weeks, and they just cut off service, I think, within the month of release of Firestorm, which, again, is a real shame. I believe that some absolute genius out there who's spending his own time and money to make a Battlefield 3 Battle Royale. I heard that a couple of years ago. I've not heard any updates. I don't know if it's out. I don't know if it's just been cancelled or they're still making it. I have no idea. But anyway, that absolutely beyond failed, and they didn't seem to learn their lesson because Battlefield 2042 had 2 spin-offs within the game that were behind a paywall as well, and at least were not charged as extra on top of Battlefield 2042. It was all included if you bought any version of 2042, the cheapest to the most expensive, which was Battlefield 2042 Portal, and the Escape from Tarkov version of Battlefield, which was called Exodus. I cannot remember. It was the most forgettable thing in Battlefield history. But yes, the idea behind Portal was it was the Gmod of Battlefield, essentially. The devs decided to give all the codes, the sourcing, and the tools pretty much to say to the Battlefield community, here's all of the tools to make your own Battlefield game, essentially. Go mental. It's free as long as you've purchased the main game. Yay, I saw the trailer for that. I thought that was actually a teeny bit more kind of better than the original 2042 trailer, but equally at the time, both 10 out of 10 trailers. Got insanely hyped for it because I've been saying that we needed this for Battlefield as well, and because again they removed server browsing for some beyond stupid reason, but even within 2042 itself and the scoreboard, I forgot to mention that in the previous part, but anyway, the Portal system, the navigations, the customization was so beyond convoluted that no one can work it. It was literally unusable, and it took him forever to simplify it because it was, I can't even explain it in any way, shape or form, but trying to make a server that was, you know, let's say 44 Magnum pistol only, or, you know, defibrillator only, or only vehicles only, so you can have like a crash test derby shooting out of vehicles only, or having helicopters only, or just whatever it may be, or, you know, just rocket launchers only, whatever it may be. People could not figure it out. It was so beyond convoluted. It was a again broken, buggy, glitchy mess upon release. And the other thing as well, I think the devs did this deliberately. Some maps with some factions from certain eras of wars and weaponry and vehicles just couldn't be implemented deliberately. It died before release as well because it was just an unplayable mess. And again, the fact that you had customizable game modes that you could make yourself but no server browsing, it's like having a car with no petrol, having petrol with no cars on the planet. It was just made zero fucking sense at the time. And moving over to the last one, which was Battlefield's attempt of a Escape from Tarkov version, which was, I think, called Battlefield Exodus. Was it called that? I have no idea. I kid you not, that died. Arguably, I think I made a video on this separately proving this, but I think that game mode died even before that trailer for that game mode had even came out. It was abandoned months before the game was even released, and I played that game mode within the first hour of the 2042 being released. It was nothing but AI bots because no one was playing it, and that was also another problem that I forgot to mention with 2042 is because, again, the player base just absolutely beyond kamikaze. Even before the Christmas period, they had to fill the lobbies up with AI bots that were brain dead as anything and were completely worthless, and it was just free kills all day long because no one was playing that game. And it was the same with Exodus right out of the gate. Again, nothing but AI, bland as anything and simplistic as hell to the point where it's painful and an insult to your intelligence. Basically, a crashed satellite, go collect the SSD or hard drive, extract. Did you get any rewards? Was there really any XP? Did you get any cool DLC funky skins? Duh, not really. Nah, just go get an SSD, extract. Yeah, you wonder why that game failed as well right out the gate. And also, talking about failing before it even launched, I made a whole separate video of this about 3+ years ago, that it was already been announced publicly by EA and DICE that they were working on this game that's coming out in 2025 before Battlefield 2042 had even launched. They'd already started making that game. And again, as the old saying goes, in the business we call this foreshadowing, and we should have seen this coming because they knew how beyond of a shit show that 2042 was going to be even before release. They just abandoned that game and started working on the next one, which is now Battlefield 6. Now, I'm going to wrap it up with this last little part, and I'll keep it as fast as possible because it has been a 20-minute long ranting video about the absolute disgusting state of these two games. And this is a personal story of mine. I'll keep it as short and sweet as possible. Like me and millions of other people with 2042, I tried to get a refund for the game, and something that was exposed within the first month of the launch of 2042 was that EA had sent very aggressive orders down the chain to say that anyone who has the authority to give a refund for Battlefield 2042, don't you fucking dare do it, or else you will be fired. And the fact that there was hundreds of thousands of people within the first few days of Battlefield 2042's release screaming, trying to get a refund through email, through live chat and other ways that you can do it, whether you bought it through Origin or Steam or another platform. At least on the Origin side of things, which is owned by EA, it's their own gaming app, they were told not to give a refund even if they were well within their legal, that keyword, legal right to get a refund, and even if it was within their terms and conditions to get a refund, do not offer it. I tried going through live chat, they blatantly lied to me and told me within the first couple of hours of launch that no, you can't get a refund because we don't have that authority here, you would have to be passed on to someone else. After screaming at them for about 20 plus minutes, they finally got back to me and said, okay, we can offer you a refund, however, the systems are down. I tried to get back to them over and over and over again. Nope, systems are down, the systems are down, we can't offer you a refund. And this was done deliberately because if they can say to you, no, the systems are down, they can't do it, no, please wait longer. If they can keep you waiting long enough, you go past the threshold of when you are allowed within their own terms and conditions to get a refund. And by the time they went, oh yeah, we can give you a refund. You've owned the game for 48 hours. Sorry, we can't give you a refund. You've expired your time to get a refund. Womp womp. Thanks for the $100. Go fuck yourself, essentially. And they were caught doing this deliberately. And I spent the next 7 months trying every fucking way possible to get a refund. And thankfully, I discovered that PayPal, since that's the method I used to pay for my Ultimate Edition of 2042, had their T's and C's within PayPal is if you've received a faulty product and you paid through PayPal, you have up to 6 months to start a refund debate with the person or company that you bought the product from. And I discovered this within 5 months, 3 weeks, and about half a week on top of that, 3 or 4 days after I had purchased Battlefield 2042. So I just managed to start the appeal process, and this went on for a month of me going through PayPal and PayPal contacting EA themselves, trying to debate this refund to see if I was actually in the right to get a refund or not. EA did not respond and ignored every single email, and within 30-ish days, I think it was 6 weeks actually, they went, okay, they're not responding, okay, have your full £100 back, and I got my money back. And because I got a refund, EA finally responded to me and told me, oh yeah, we're banning, not banning, we have deleted your Origin account essentially because you got a refund for 2042 via PayPal's refund policy, which we do not agree with, which I had £300 worth of games on it and DLC and add-ons over the several years of gaming, and all of it gone. Spent another 30 days on top of that literally ripping the heads off of EA through emails and threatening to get a lawyer involved. And after 30 days, they finally went, okay, we'll reactivate your Origin account, you'll get all the games and DLCs and add-ons back. However, if you get a refund for a game ever again, we will permanently ban your account with no chance of reactivation. Don't you dare get a refund. And again, I made videos of all of this several years ago, and it's all well documented. If you really want to go check it out, you can go look at it yourself. But yeah, this has been one hell of a long ranting video because, again, I've had one hell of a history with him. I know I'm not the only one as well. I hope this video was an absolute waste of everyone's time. I hope this backfires in my face, and Battlefield 6 is the greatest thing that makes Battlefield 3 and 4 look like Chinese malware in Google Play mobile games. I really hope that is the case, but yeah, I'm very pessimistic, glass half empty, so to speak, not half full, but we'll have to wait and see. The multiplayer trailer reveal is coming out in a week. I'll probably review that and have a little rant about that as well. And of course, when the open beta comes out, with free to play for probably 2 days or 3 days, I'll play that, get a ton of footage, and I'll review that and see what I think the overall future of Battlefield 6 is going to be before the full launch, because I am not pre-ordering and I am not buying on day release. But anyway, pardon. I'm going to wrap the video up there. Thank you very much for tuning in. It's been one hell of a waffle. I do apologise. I have Asperger's, but if you agree or disagree with anything that I've said throughout this video, please leave a comment down below, or anything I've missed of key importance, again, leave that comment down below. If you could like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, help small content creators like myself. And if you want to go follow me on my social medias like X or on my Discord server, links in the pinned top comment as well, please go check out my other videos on YouTube. Usually I make more political ranting videos about illegal immigrants staying in hotels or taxing the most poorest people within our country, also violations of free speech or human rights as a whole within the UK or America, so on and so forth, that type of content. But yeah, I'll wrap the video up there. I love yous all, and as always, keep on rolling. Have a great day and a better week to follow. See yous!